Welcome back to AM Northwest. You know, most everyone wants to be kind to others and be liked in return, but when does that cross the line to something more toxic? Here to share how to break unhealthy patterns, we welcome the author of Stop People Pleasing and Find Your Power, Hailey Magee. Good to have you with us.
I'm so excited to be here.
Okay, so I understand that you're a former people pleaser.
Yep.
So are you really happy to be here?
I am sincerely and authentically happy to be here. I mean it from the heart.
Yeah. So tell me about being a former people pleaser and how that led you to realize this is not working for me and how it became toxic, really.
Oh my God. I mean, in the past, people pleasing colored all of my interactions. Like, I would stay in a conversation with someone for far too long and I'd be like, I gotta get out of here, but I wouldn't know how to exit.
Yeah.
Or I'd be on a date and I wouldn't be enjoying myself at all, but I just didn't have the courage to say, you know what? I'm not having a great time. I gotta go. So it was so hard for me to speak up and assert myself. And for me, it was after a really rough breakup personally, where I realized I had just lost myself in that partner. I'd lost myself in a job I didn't love. And it was sort of like one of those rock bottom moments. And
Do you think it comes like from trauma in childhood where you trying to make sure that everybody's okay because you need to be okay?
Exactly. You know, we develop the people-pleasing pattern as a way to stay safe, you know, whether that's physically safe in the case of trauma or abuse, or even emotionally safe or socially safe. Like, I'll try to fit in so I belong, or I'll try to please people so they love me and treat me well. So when you look back, we can see the origin of the pattern. It kept us safe somehow in the past, but it can be toxic in the present.
So you said you learned from that previous relationship. What did you learn from being in a relationship that you should have gotten out of sooner?
You know what I realized is that never speaking up about my needs and sacrificing myself for someone else, not only did it not make me happy, but it made the relationship unhealthy. Because it created a power dynamic where I always had less power, and so neither of us were really sasatisfied. You know?
But do you think the connection initially may have been that he liked that you liked everything that he liked? Because I'm sure that you said, oh yeah, I like watching the NFL. Oh yeah, I like, you know, going fishing on Sundays, that kind of thing.
Were you watching my relationship? Because that's exactly what happened. I love that band. I love that music. I'm like, I don't love that. That's the thing. I think when we're people pleasers, we accidentally end up attracting partners and friends who like the fact that we don't take up space with our voices and our ideas. And so that's the weird thing. By breaking the pattern, you make it more likely that you'll find people who are looking for healthier relationships later. You talk about we've got to learn those who are people pleasers about boundaries. So tell me about the boundaries. Yeah, boundaries are huge. And you know, you hear a lot about boundaries on social media these days, but really the simplest essence of it is when we set a boundary with someone, we limit how much access they have to us and how much access they have to our time, our vulnerability, and our hearts. And so really a lot of us need to get better at realizing that other people are not automatically entitled to our friendship, to our listening ears, to our time, and we get a say in how close and connected we are to them.
Do you think people pleasers need to have control or feel that they have control over things that they really can't control?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, people pleasing is a case of misplaced control. We try to control how others perceive us. We try to control whether others meet our needs or not. We're always trying to reach outside of ourselves and control others instead of taking responsibility for the things we can actually control, which is our actions, our needs, our feelings.
Okay, give me an example of something that, you know, when you realized you were a people pleaser that you thought you could control and realized later you couldn't.
Oh my gosh, well I think about, you know, even relationships with my family. You know, family members would be going through hard things and I almost had a savior complex. You know, I would be like, I can single-handedly save them from their pain. So as a result, I would overextend myself to take care of them. I would enable their bad behavior instead of setting limits around what I could and couldn't tolerate. And all of those efforts to save them, first of all, it didn't work. Second of all, it prevented them from getting the proper help and support that they needed from people who could actually help.
But I can understand, though, wanting to help and make a change, help someone who's in trouble or, you know, going through something bad. I totally understand that.
Totally. It's a really natural impulse. And those of us who are people pleasers, we want to be kind and empathetic, but I think we cross over into that line when we really start sacrificing ourselves in the process, and all of those efforts harm our health and well-being.
Well, and I think, too, you could harm those relationships because they realize you can't help me. You know, maybe they become resentful even though you had the best of intentions.
100%. And it can create this weird dependency dynamic that they may have never actually even asked for.
So when it comes to, we mentioned boundaries, how do you deal with someone who doesn't respect your boundaries? Like, how do you handle it?
Completely. You know, like I said, boundaries are about limiting other people's access to us.
Right.
So we can always ask, we can make a request. I talk about this in the book. We can ask others to treat us well. We can say, hey, your behavior is really upsetting to me. Could you please stop? Or, hey, I need this instead. But at a certain point, if those requests don't make the other person change, we need to ask ourselves, how close and connected am I willing to be with someone who treats me like this? Yeah. So it's a personal decision that takes a lot of courage and strength to say, here's where I draw that line in the sand.
Okay, there were some questions that you have in your book that I thought were really interesting and I think might help our viewers understand even more. Awesome. So these are just questions you have when it comes to people pleasing. Here's one. My friends keep disrespecting the boundaries that I set. How can I make her, or my friend keeps disrespecting the boundaries that I set. How can I make her take them seriously?
That's about control, and this is one of the hardest things, right? At a certain point, we have to accept that no matter how much we ask or tell others, we can't make them respect our boundaries or make them change. All we can do is say, how close am I willing to be with this person? If they treat me poorly, are there ways I have to limit how much time I spend with them or what things I agree to with them? And that's hard because sometimes it means we end up outgrowing relationships with people who don't treat us well.
My wife has a drinking problem. She insists she's going to get help, but she never does. What do I do?
Unfortunately, it's pretty similar to the answer before, which is that you can't make someone change. What you have to do is reckon inside with the question of, does this behavior work for me? Can I tolerate this? And if the answer is no, that means making a hard choice about
leaving.
Leaving. Are you willing to stay?
Right. And this last one, my boyfriend keeps treating me badly. I tell him I don't like it, but he continues to do it anyway. And what she says at the end is, how can I make him stop?
Yep. It's so hard, right? To really reckon with the fact that we can't. We can't make people stop. We need to look within and develop enough courage and self-respect and agency to say, I have a choice about what relationships I choose to extend myself in and participate in. And we show ourselves an incredible amount of self-respect when we say, I can't deal with that anymore. I need to show myself some more love here.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to mention to everyone again, the book is titled Stop People Pleasing and Find Your Power. You've got a book event that is tonight at Powell's Books at Cedar Hills Crossings in Beaverton. That's at 7 o'clock. We're going to put all the information on our website at ka2u.com. Hailey, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, we'll be right back with more AM Northwest. Don't go away.